Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another Chart Nerd TA video. We're going to be covering AVAX today. So the ticker is AVAX. So it's Avalanche against the US dollar on the weekly time frame. And just going to do some technical analysis for you. Now, obviously, over the past couple of days, I do believe AVAX is currently up around 27-28% off of good news where Amazon has selected AVAX as its blockchain partnership. Again, to what degree, I think is very brief at the moment. But again, nonetheless, it is very, very good news for the crypto space. It's amazing to see. And obviously from that news, you are getting some sort of pump here for AVAX. Now, is the pump genuine? Let's just get some volume on quickly. Again, you can see that compared to the past few weeks where you've had this significant downtrend for AVAX, the volume is starting to pick up a little bit. But what concerns me is, again, with these massive candles, okay, where you get these 30%, 50, 60, 70% candles in these bull runs, you like to see follow-throughs with volume. And right now, again, you have had quite an impulsive candle and there's not much volume. Again, we're going to see how it goes towards the end of the week. We've got a few days left, but the volume isn't there to confirm that this is a legitimate breakout. And the main question is, does it confirm that this is the bear market lows? Is this current area of around $10.50 the low for AVAX? Well, I'll give you my honest opinion. I think it has a good chance of potentially being the low. Now, one reason for that, again, trend lines are just trend lines, guys. Anyone can draw these in, but you can see that this area, this $10.50 area for AVAX is it's a staple of support since 2021, January 2021. So for a couple of years, back here you had it as resistance. You did break out here, come back to support, bounced off of these EMAs here, the 10 and the 20. And again, this confirmed the next impulsive move up. You then fell back for a second time back to this $10.50 area for support and got that last major impulsive blow off top there for the bull run for AVAX. And at this point, you had this high, you had a lower high. We started to lose key support and it just indicated depleting buying pressure. And from then you can see you've had this massive rollover and coincidentally, you come back down to this $10.58 range, so $10.50 range. So again, this potentially could be a low, or at least this is why you are getting, along with the Amazon news, some sort of relief here, because it is previous areas of support and has been a staple of support for a couple of years. So we was, again, I haven't really looked into AVAX too much in regards to the chart, but we was, if we was to be looking, again, this would have been a key area for support. And you can see that if you did buy in these areas, currently you're fruitful and you're up around a percentage of 42-43%. Again, not too shabby, hey, but does it mean the bear market is over? Does it mean that we can't come back for support? Does it mean we're going to blow out here and this is the start of a new bull run? Again, many questions, but what we can look at, again, is this key area of support. So this low, if we lose this low, for me, you're starting to fall into the abyss here a little bit for AVAX and what you could be looking at. What I'm going to check out here for us, guys, is this is the last major impulsive move. Okay, we had this rally, again, probably about 40-50% rally there. So from that high, retracing back down to this low, of which you rallied from, into resistance, and then put in a new low. So we're retracing back down to this low. You can see that low was lost. We actually came down to the 1272, and you're getting support off of that, and that ties up around this $10.50 range. So if we was to see rejection at either of these areas, the $18 to $20 mark, of which AVAX could potentially rally into, because you've got the 0618 here as resistance, the 050 here as resistance. Do we have the potential, if AVAX gets a bit more continuation here, I would expect key resistance at $18.78. So in the near short term, again, none of this is financial advice, it's educational entertainment purposes only. If we do get a nice clean push through this 20-week EMA here, again, I'm going to go into this in a second, but you could be looking at a 21% move from current price up to key resistance and then come back for support potentially. Okay, but what we need to see is a clean breakthrough of this weekly 20. Now, what's important to notice here, I'm going to take all this off the charts very quickly. What's important to notice is I think, so since actually losing these levels of support here, so since March 2022, you haven't actually back tested this yellow line. Okay, now this is the 20-week EMA. And you can see that since coming back down to this low here after this large capitulative wave, you ran into the 10, and since that point, the 10 has continuously been resistance for AVAX. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4 points of resistance on this 10 EMA over a 4-month period. How ironic is that as well? Over a 4-month period, you was continuously hitting your head off of these EMAs, and you was getting squeezed into a corner, and you can see you've had this little breakout, and now for the first time since March 2022, you've actually retested the 20. But what I wanted to point out, it's not 100% accurate, but a lot of the times that these projects do retest their 20 weeks moving averages after a downtrend or a large bear market, it doesn't confirm the breakout. We like to see at least a couple areas of support, or at least if there is a breakout, and for it to be confirmed, we need to see multiple weekly closes above these EMAs. Now I've got the 10 here and the 20. The 10 has been key resistance in this downtrend, in this bear market, and the 20 was always the next point of contact. Once you start to break the 10 would be the next area of resistance for me, or area of a target area from lows. So again, but what we need to be careful of is, you can see that this is resistance right here. So if we get this resistance line on here, you can see currently speaking we are I need to go to the wicks, sorry. Currently speaking, we are sort of pushing into this range where you are looking to take out this resistance. A bit easier to see. And from this low you have also, so again, this potentially could be some sort of falling wedge, because you've got your low, which is 1 point of contact. You had a point of contact up on resistance, then you had a point of contact on support, again another point of contact on resistance, a point of contact on support, and right now you're in your third point of contact of resistance. So what you normally like to see is 3 points of contact on each support line and 3 points of contact on each resistance line, and a confirmed break back to the support for continuation. Okay, this is what ideally we want to see, because if this is some sort of falling wedge pattern here and you are starting to break out, again, you will have larger targets retracing back up to where you actually started to form the falling wedge. So if you was to start breaking out here and holding this as support and sustaining a break, potentially you could have also the opportunity sometime down the line of retracing back up to the around $32 mark, which is 112% from current price. But again, just because we are in this falling wedge pattern doesn't mean we necessarily have to break out, or it means that we're going to start picking up here. It's not 100%. But again, you are running into resistance. We do need to be careful unless we see a clean breakthrough with volume. You can see that we're coming up to resistance here, and equally the 20-week EMA, which we've not really tested since back in March, okay, where you had this fake out here. Again, it was still a lower high than the all-time highs, and then the large crash. Since this point, resistance, third time lucky, who knows? We're going to keep an eye on this, guys. I'm going to give you some thought experiments here. Again, this is going off, I'm just going to have a long shot here. I'm going to go off of the current lows that we have and give you guys some hopium for the near future. So if algo has put in its low and it decides that, okay, this area here, this $10.50 mark is where I want to stay. It's where I want to keep my bags. You know, I don't want to go any lower from here. If this is the low, okay, it's a big if, retracing back up to the all-time high, I'm going to give you guys some next bull run targets. Again, none of this is financial advice. It's all for education and entertainment purposes only. This doesn't mean the low's in. It doesn't mean that we're going to shoot off into space overnight. Please do not be fooled. These things take time. As you can see, this bear market's been going for quite a long while. Again, bull markets do the same, okay? And it's a gradual climb and gradual decline. It's how the markets work. But for me, what we'd be looking at if we did retrace to the $151 all-time high, or it's a little bit higher than that, it's not bang on, I'm sorry, but around the $150 mark, if we did eventually get above that, again, I'm not giving a time frame, but my minimum target in the bull run for AVAX in the next bull run, if this is the low, this has to be the low. If you lose this low, this is invalidated. But right now, because we're holding that $10.50 mark, if we do start to form some sort of bottoming out structure here, maybe go sideways for a bit, before starting to take off and creating the next wave for the bull run, if you start to tackle out that 150, you're looking at $313. Okay, and that's my most conservative target in the next bull market. Taking out that high, putting in a new all-time high, that would be my minimum target. Again, the overextension, depending on how well it does at the time, $789 at the 1618. That's my overextended target for AVAX, and I do think it could be met. Well, let me tell you why potentially as well. Well, if you look at AVAX down at these levels, when it actually retraced back up to when you had this as the all-time high, when the all-time was here in 2021 February, and you had this large ABC crash. Okay, so at this point in February, AVAX actually crashed around 85%. But after that 85% drawdown, what happened? You came out, you took out the all-time high, currently at this time, and you ran into the 1272 at $106. And you could see that this 1272 mark was met. So what's not to say that from this low, we can't take out this high and get to the 1272 if we did it from here, retracing to this high and met the 1272, which is the current all-time high. You see what I mean? So if it's done it before, can it do it again? Of course it can. Of course it can. So these are my conservative targets. The $313 with an overshoot to 789. Now I know I've gone a bit far off the recent areas where I'm saying, hang on guys, we need to break through this resistance on the weekly. Again, this is just a thought experiment. And that could be a potential move of around 2,000%, just shy of 2,000%. The overextension up to, where was it, near $790 would be about a 5K move for AVAX there. So again, long shot, a bit of hopium, literally a bit of hope to hold on to, just to say, guys, look, listen, when you have these massive 85-90% drawdowns, it doesn't mean that a project can't recover, okay? Because every time AVAX has had that large pullback, it's recovered. This is one of its biggest yet, and in its time. Does it mean that you're charging up for a spring, getting ready to literally break out, tackle this all-time high, and run up to those $313? I really do hope so, guys. I really do hope so. Bearish targets. Let's have a look at some bearish targets. Okay, we need to look at both sides of the table here just before I go. Now, my overall opinion is on this project currently, I do think because you're running into this weekly 20 for the first time since last year, or the 2021 actually, I do think we potentially may meet this as resistance and come back for support. Now, what we need to see is this area hold and a higher low put in, because if you do hold $10.50, you do pull back from this 20 for support. As long as you put in a higher low and start to confirm that you're getting some sort of flip of the switch here, then we could be in for some more upside. But again, just keep in mind, we are running into key resistance that was previous support, looking to turn it to resistance. So if AVAX can't close above the weekly 20, and it can't close above $15.50 specifically, because as you can see, it was once support, you came up resistance, back to support, okay, and then you eventually lost it. Okay, so right now all you've done is backtested this previous support and turned it currently into resistance. So we have to see a clean push through. I would like to see, again, more volume on these candles for the breakouts to confirm that it's legitimate. But in the near short term, as I said, if we do start to retrace here, and this is the local high at this 20-week EMA, where could we be retracing to get a bounce? Well, simple. You go from the current local high at that weekly 20, retracing back down to the $10.50 area that you broke out from, or had this little rally. You can see key areas of support for me would be between this golden pocket here at $13.20 and $12.50. Again, this is if we don't see the clean break and hold of support. Okay, because if we do that, then you're looking for continuation, because you're breaking above the 20, you're holding it as support. If you get multiple closes above the 20 with weekly candles, okay, it just looks like you're going to continue the trend and potentially start retracing up to resistance areas. But again, there's a lot in front of us, okay? You've got this key resistance, previous support turning into resistance. You've got the weekly 20. And you've also got this downward trends of resistance that I showed you guys earlier, where you're potentially running into as well. So there's three things there that are pointing towards, hey, I might come back down here for a bit of retracement. So if it does, do keep in mind that the short-term bearish scenario is $13.20 to $12.50. I know that's a bit of a range, but I would expect to see some sort of support off of these areas. And potentially at this point, you would be putting in a higher low, and you could be coiling up here in some sort of larger bullish structure. But again, that has to hold, okay? Because if it doesn't, and you do actually start retracing back down, okay, and losing this low, if AVAX starts to lose that low, and say this is a fake out, you just come all the way back down to $10.57. If you start to lose that, for me, you're looking at $9.36 at a minimum, and after that, a potential 1618 target back down to $8. Scary, right? But has that happened yet? No. What I like to do is provide you guys with both sides of the story here, and that for you guys is my update. So key points to take away: you are running into previous resistance areas, you are running into the 20-week EMA for the first time. Great, amazing, bullish news, but it doesn't mean we're out the neck of the woods. it does not mean we're out the neck of the woods yet. Okay, the trend is your friend until the end. Okay, so still until you start seeing the price starting to get above these EMAs, okay, and starting to hold them and dragging them up, okay, until you start to see that and then start the breakout clean, confirmed, running into previous areas of resistance off of these local lows, we can't say that the lows are in. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's content. If you did, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Until next time, from Chartner TA, take care, guys. Peace out.